All right, guys, welcome back to the Strong Life Podcast. This is a solo episode, and I'm going to do a little bit of Q&A from Instagram. I've got 4 questions, but I only posted that this morning. That's okay. Sometimes I think you guys are okay with a little bit of a shorter episode, and I will answer the other questions through Instagram stories. So let's see if my older eyes can see from a distance. Before I get started, want to thank everybody for dropping reviews. I am going to pull up some reviews, see if we've got anything new. I announced the winners of the last Strong Life podcast reviews and mentioned to those people to send me an email, undergroundstrengthcoach@gmail.com. And I can't remember what the prize was. I think I was hooking them up with Underground Strength Academy 1 year membership. Excuse me. And I didn't get any emails. So we're at 600 reviews. I think uh, that's where we're capped at. So let's see if, yep, those are the last reviews. Same as last time. Let's keep crushing those reviews, guys. We are at 600 reviews, 4.9. We keep spreading the word, and this is a movement, right? This is the way for us to spread the word about Strong Life, about clearing my throat, and getting the world to be a stronger place to lift and live. So, D. Chapman, first question. I've answered this one a lot, but that's okay. You never know when somebody is listening for the first time. Question is, what is the absolute best number one advices? Here's how you know he's a veteran by using the word advices for someone wanting to start a career in strength and conditioning. This is great. I did share something in this kind of career path at the recent Mondo Strength Clinic where I was this weekend in North Carolina, which, by the way, was awesome. So, number one, I was shocked at the lack of younger coaches in the attendance. I think only 3 of them were in their 20s, everybody else 30s, 40s, 50s. I'm not sure if anybody was in their 60s. Um, some of the speakers were in their 60s. Coach Reeve, Coach Tony Decker from Cornell, and I'm creeping up on age 50. So I started speaking with Coach Reeve around 2002, 2003. So over 20 years ago. So I'm 49. So when Coach Reeve was mentoring me in those early days, spending a lot of time on the phone with me, he was a head strength coach for football at Wake Forest. And I didn't realize how busy those guys were. Maybe back then there was a little bit more free time compared to the way college strength and conditioning has gotten out of control. But let me explain what I say to younger kids, anybody who says, I want to be a strength coach. So hear me out. All right. Number one, I'm a strength coach. Okay. I have my CSCS. Before my CSCS, I'm basically self taught by going through clinics, research, studying, training, thousands upon thousands. The 10,000 hour rule, I surpassed that a gazillion years ago. And I'm a strength coach. But guess what? Dad, John Smith down the road, he could call himself a strength coach. He's got some weights in his garage. He's training his son. He's got his son bringing over some of his friends, teammates on the football team, lacrosse team, hockey team, baseball team. Dad's a strength coach, quote unquote, used to lift a lot. Maybe the dad was even a former D1 athlete. Woo! Now I know everything. Anybody could say they're a strength coach. Now let me take it next step. You're at the college, you got your CSCS or your CSCCA, and you're at the table. At that table is one of the sport coaches, whatever team you're on, baseball, basketball, hockey. So you got the strength coach, the sport coach. You've got one of the athletic directors there. Who knows which one? There's usually, multiple athletic directors. Could be an athletic director for women's sports, for men's sports, Olympic sports, athletic director for football, you name it. You have the athletic trainer. You have a physical therapist. You might even have the doctor, the medical doctor. I am sorry for clearing my throat so much. I drank a cup of tea and green tea. It's crushing me. So you're at the table. Who is the lowest person on the totem pole at that table? You are. Boom. Bingo. In fact, you're not just the strength coach. You're the dumb weights guy. You're the weights guy. Who is the weights guy? Anybody. And so now we see some sports hiring sport coaches who love to lift. Maybe that sport coach is a meathead. Happens in football. Definitely has happened in wrestling for a very long time. Wrestling will often hire or just have a volunteer wrestling coach, somebody who's young, just out of college, still competing, who loves to lift. Well, now that wrestler is the strength coach. What does he know? He knows how to train himself. He knows that he loves to lift. He's a meathead, so he is strong AF. Now he knows how to train everybody. Now he knows how to help people return to play after they're cleared from athletic trainer and PT. Now he understands the difference between in-season and off-season. Why? Because he did it. He was an All-American football player, All-American hockey player, All-American wrestler. Again, we've got people pretending to be strength coaches. Now let's take another career path. Okay. Nurse. Can anybody pretend to be a nurse? Can anybody pretend to be an attorney, a doctor? What about pretend to be an athletic trainer or a physical therapist? Nobody can pretend to be those things. By the way, your gym is pumping, you're in the private sector, you're not even in college, and the local high school hero returns from college. He was a high school standout, broke all the records in school. You name the sport: football, baseball, hockey, wrestling, basketball. Plays college for a year, gets his butt kicked, gets quote unquote injured. He's not really injured. No more sports. But guess what he is? He's a speed and agility coach. So now he's at the park running speed camp. Remember, he's the best athlete out of your town ever. Best high school athlete ever. He's at the parks running speed and agility camps, charging parents $5, $50, $150, doing privates with the third graders from down the street. Private speed and agility. Remember, speed and agility and core strength, by the way. Core strength. Got himself a little weekend certification. Not the underground strength coach cert, not the SSPC, which, by the way, to go through my certifications, you have multiple choice exam and a practical. You actually have to film yourself coaching. And guess who watches those videos? Me. And guess what? Not everybody passes. Had a kid who's interning at another gym, went through the cert and completely failed. Then I had to hop on the phone with him and say, listen, bro, your warm-up looks nothing like what we did in the videos. Your warm-up was shit, and I'm not letting you fly the flag. And that guy has never retaken the practical. He will not be certified ever. But somebody else got whatever that popular certification is, and everything's 3 sets of 10, 4 sets of 12, bodybuilding split, but nobody knows any better. He's certified. He was a better athlete than you were in high school. He was the fastest. He scored the most points in basketball or wrestling, which, by the way, I've seen wrestlers get over 100 career wins and not make it out of the district. Okay? But guess what? That wrestler is the best to ever come out of your town. So now he is the speed and agility coach in town. So here's the career advice. I know I dragged it on, but this is the lack of professionalism and the hard. We don't have a licensure, which is people are very afraid of that. There's going to be all these rules to be a strength coach or a personal trainer. And so what I tell people is, nope, you can't be a strength coach. You have to become a physical therapist who's also a strength coach. Period. End of story. You don't want to be a PT. Then you need to get your PhD in exercise science. So you have to be able to do research. And now you can climb the ranks, which is going to take a very long time. And you will become a director of high performance. a director of return to play. So you're going to have to work very closely with ATC and physical therapist. But I'm sorry, guys, strength coaches are not respected because anybody could do it, including a college dropout, including somebody. For example, I've been coaching since 1995. That's 30 years. It's 2025. This summer will mark 30 years, actually. And guess what? I've been coaching longer than the speed and agility coach down the street has been alive. But guess what, baby? He's doing speed and agility, core strength, and arm care. He's certified in TikTok, or TikTok's been banned, or whatever happened. He's certified in YouTube. He's copied a couple very influential coaches online. Could kind of put it all together. He's got the cones. He's got the speed ladder. And guess what? He's the expert because he was a better high school athlete than you were. He got to D1. Nobody cares that he dropped out. Nobody cares that he got his ass kicked at D1. And by the way, guys, if you don't know, I've coached at Rutgers and Lehigh, and I was teaching D1 athletes how to squat all the way down with body weight, how to extend their arms at the bottom of a pull-up, how to properly bench press, all the things that don't really attract more likes and views. I didn't do single leg med ball rotational slams. I didn't do lateral hurdles into a twisting broad jump, into a back pedal, turn around, jump, land on a box, because that's speed and agility. Now, let me ask you a question. When the fuck does that ever happen in sport? All this fucking crisscross applesauce, it's bullshit. So here's my answer. You want to be a strength coach? You become a physical therapist and or athletic trainer, also strength coach. So you got to do both. Otherwise, you got to get your PhD, because there's a gazillion strength coaches with a CSCS and a master's degree making $45,000 working in a big, massive college with a 5, 10, $15 million weight room, making 45 grand, getting in at 6 a.m., leaving at 4 o'clock or 6 p.m., going on Saturdays, maybe Sundays, 45 grand. Be a physical therapist, an athletic trainer, or get your PhD. I just went for the throat and I probably broke a lot of hearts, but those are the truths. Next question. Sages of Iron. Very good Instagram username. What tips do you have on eliminating bad or intrusive thoughts that interfere with self-confidence? This is a great one, because guess who can suffer that? Me. Guess who else? Hollywood stars, TV stars, Olympic gold medalists suffer with this. Okay. Craig Ballantyne shared some really cool tips with me. Craig was a business mentor of mine. Okay. Perfect day. Look him up. And he always said action beats anxiety. The other thing that we've seen it all. Comparison is the thief of joy. You keep comparing yourself to everybody else, you are bound to feel like shit about yourself. I'm not a Navy SEAL. I'm not a All-American athlete. I'm not a world record holder powerlifter. I think they call it imposter syndrome, where you just don't think you're good enough to speak and get on camera and do what it is that you want to do. And so you got to focus on self-improvement. You got positive self-talk. You got to have a journal. Okay. I have multiple journals, constantly writing in them. Dan Kennedy, I remember, I'm going to share a story with you. It's going to help you. Dan Kennedy, in his Renegade Millionaire program, I remember buying that. I don't even know if I owned a gym back then. So it was like 2005 or 6, something like that. Remember taking a half sick day, teaching in Edison, drove to Maryland. Lloyd Irvin, who was a consultant for martial arts business owners, because he had multiple locations. He was a heavy duty student of Dan Kennedy, invited me to the mastermind, to dinner. And I remember Dan Kennedy at that event. They were selling his products, and I bought Renegade Millionaire for like $750 or just under $1,000. Normally it was like $2,500. Bought it, played those CDs like crazy. And he was talking about this successful businessman. And that successful businessman was asked, what do you do what is the most important thing you do in your business? He said, the most important thing I do in my business is the head trip stuff. It's the mindset stuff. He said, I got this little shack down by the lake or the pond or the river, wherever it is. It's like, and in that shack, I don't, he's like, I got a couple things. I got a fireplace, got a little refrigerator where I like to keep a couple soft drinks, not software drinks, soft drinks like soda pop, he called it. And I've got a little radio where I could put in a cassette tape, work on my mind and listen to people like Earl Nightingale. He said, I go every day down by the pond or the river in my shack, take out a little soda pop, lay back on my recliner chair, and listen to the head trip stuff. That's what he said, head trip stuff to train the mind to focus on abundance and optimism. Negativity is extremely strong. I'm going to explain how. As a strength coach, I train out of high school, and it sometimes happens at the underground. It's pretty rare. We nip it in the bud. One negative person can bring down an entire team. One negative person could suck people into their black hole of distraction, of skipping sets, of laziness, of doing less work, of being rude, of being interruptive. Okay. We could tell I've obviously experienced it. I've seen one loser bring down some of the greatest kids. That negative energy is so strong. Chaz Palminteri, the actor from A Bronx Tale and several other movies, there's an Instagram video going around, and he said, a positive person can rarely ever, only very sometimes, lift up a negative person. But a negative person can always bring down a positive. He's like, negative energy is more powerful than optimism. And he's like, so I stay away from those negative people. He's like, they can always bring you down. He's like, negative energy is that strong. Negative energy in your mind is extremely strong. Negative people are extremely strong in a bad way. They bring you down. Okay. I've seen it on Division I teams. I equate it to this. I'm driving on the parkway or any highway, and the highway has 3 lanes. You're in California, it has 6 lanes. Forget California. Too much traffic. Frigs it all up. You're in New Jersey, you're in the passing lane, and somebody's just doing 65 and they're laughing. Okay. They're on their phone, and we're 30, 40 cars backed up behind this guy or this girl. And they don't ever look in their rearview mirror. They don't care about who they're holding up. They don't care about that 30 to 40 line of cars. They only care about themselves, and this person they're on the phone with. They're not even looking in the rearview mirror. People are passing, mad, honking the horn. They don't even look. You mean nothing to them. They're all about themselves, selfish. So how do you get rid of that negative talk? Number 1, you steer clear of negative people, negative circumstances. Number 2, head trip stuff. Everything I've purchased for hundreds and thousands of dollars is on YouTube now for free, which is why a lot of people don't value it. As I always say, people who pay, pay attention. All of Earl Nightingale, Brian Tracy, Tony Robbins, it's all free. You could go and sit on your couch and tell Alexa to play money meditation for you. It'll give you something. And then, of course, your mind, these negative thoughts, you got to do something positive. Mark Smelly Bell has said, put up points on the scoreboard of life. Do something every day that gets you 1% better. If you start feeling negative, help somebody else. Do it. help somebody else, and expect nothing in return. That's a very hard thing to do because I always expect people to do things. I expect a thank you. I expect people to work hard in return. It's hard, but help other people. Be a servant. Next question. I see a little Ohio State. Nope, that's a C. That might be, let's see, Dixie Greyhound Strength. I'm not sure where that's from. It's a college, maybe. What is the biggest mistake you see with high school strength programs? I have my thoughts, but I would like yours. Well, there's some friggin' amazing high school strength programs. I just did a podcast with Coach Reb Brock, and I was just looking at his Instagram. He's got these kids doing the overhead drop catches. I think it's called snatch balance. He's got them doing cleans. He's only got one set of bumper plates for each bar. Otherwise, it's steel plates. The technique looks flawless when they're doing cleans from the floor, cleans from the hang, clean, pause, hold, then do the power clean or full clean. Amazing. I would say that in high school, the biggest problem is actually not the coaches. It's not the program. It's the kids. It's the kids not showing up. It's the sport coaches who are not encouraging. And I hate to say you're not allowed to enforce it because in North Jersey, Paul Collodi and I did a podcast on this, New Jersey High School Strength Coach podcast. You could see it on my YouTube. A football coach got fired because he had off-season expectations of weight room and parents complained because their kids were too busy playing basketball. Now, when you're in a small group one school, kids are always playing two sports, often three, but too busy. Can't get there once a week. I find that strange. I find that odd. I find that a bunch of bullshit. So guess what? The most basic high school program could even be a bodybuilding split with sprinting and jumping rope and could be really good. But if there's no consistency by the kids and or the coaches, then you're screwed. That program will not work. High school is the easiest place to get results, but the kids blow it. The coaches blow it by not doing it year round. The kids blow it by not sleeping properly. Supposed to be in bed by 10 or 10:30. They are in bed at 10 or 10:30, but they're on the phone till 12:30. So now we're talking about 2 hours less of sleep a night. Times 5 a week, 10 hours less. 10 times 4 weeks, 40 hours less per month. We're talking about a full work week. They're sleeping less. Now let's talk about the food. They choose to skip breakfast. They are quote unquote too busy. Mom and dad don't make breakfast. Mom and dad don't stock the fridge. We got no breakfast 5 days a week. Now we ain't got no breakfast 5, 10, 15, 20 days a month. Times 10 months, 200 breakfasts missed a year. Now we buy the school lunch, bunch of processed garbage shit. We're going to eat some processed shit. We're going to have some chips. Now we got a weak second meal. Come home from school, sit on that couch, touch that phone. I am too busy to train after school. I'm too busy to get up and make myself a meal. So I'm not going to eat after school. 3 meals by 3 o'clock, just broke that rule. Not going to eat after school. Want to know why? My phone is more important than eating. I'm just going to wait till mommy and daddy come home and put that food on a plate, heat it up for me, put it on the table, and then wipe my butt because I'm a baby who's 16 years old. Parents, you understand, if you don't train your kids to be self-sufficient, tough, accountable, responsible, some ownership in their life, they're not only going to struggle in sports, they will struggle in life. Understand this. I've had kids quit and cry when I told them to squat lower more than 3 times. I repeat, kids have quit and disappeared when I've told them to squat lower. Kids have gotten upset with me and think Coach Evanesh is an asshole. Why? Because I said stop bridging when you're benching. Your butt stays down. Now I'm the bad guy. Do you see where we're at? The program needs to be very simple. Look at Jim Wendler's simple 5-3-1, and his team is always in the playoffs for football. Okay, they don't squat in season. In the off season, they squat, trap bar deadlift, bench, military press. What is their supplemental or accessory work? Chin-ups, whatever, pull-ups, dips, push-ups. They do burpees during the warm-up. They do dumbbell bench and dumbbell chest support row, and they run. They do some form of hill sprints. I mean, we're looking at a dozen exercises. But guess what they do? They train all year round. Consistency. And so if a program is not consistent, we have fault of the coach, we have fault of the sport coach, we have fault of the parents, and we have fault of the kids for being unable to organize a team to work their asses off. And guess what? I see kids who are juniors who have not gained more than 10 pounds since freshman year. They don't want to lift. They don't want to work. They just want to show up for the sport. Like Gary Vee says, everybody wants to run the marathon if they could just run that last mile. But the first 25 miles, they don't want. They just want to be there at the end, kind of cut in line at that last mile, be part of the celebration. You need to be part of the work. Last question by my boy, Jeremy Hartman. You need to get Marcus Marinelli on the podcast, who I'm trying to get on the podcast. People don't know how to train anymore. I'm going to share an excerpt from Strong Style MMA, which just blew my mind. I loved it, and I want you guys to listen. And if you're watching, then you could really get it. So let's make sure I got Strong Style MMA. Okay, I'm going to pull up the video. Yesterday, I think it was 1 or 2 degrees in Ohio, and he sent his fight team out running. It's kind of like a parking lot, but looks like quite a hill. Looks like they ran a quarter mile or a half mile. So we're looking at about a 3 or 4 minute run. And then Marcus gives a speech. He's pretty pissed off. Marcus is an early day Westside Barbell lifter. Okay. He's been on Westside Barbell podcast. You could get his story. And I want you to listen carefully. I got nothing else to say. 1, 2, 3. Fuck everybody. Make sure you guys leave a review. Lift Strong fundraiser this Friday. Check out the links below. You can see our sponsors. Please support them. Those are the people that step up and support us from near and far. Big thank you. We've also had a lot of people make donations who are not even coming to the event. Thank you. See, those are the people I want on my team. Marcus Marinelli wants a fight team of people who are showing up and who are tough, not a bunch of quitters. A lot of quitters out there. It's easier than ever before to win, not just in sports, but in life. Get on the newsletter, ZachStrength.com. I'm out of here. Thank you, team.